Hi, Access Your True Nature Medicine Tribe. It's Sarah Jane with your bedtime story. I've just come in from a networking event, really quite revved up and on my high horse in a lot of ways because things are not always what they seem. And what came up for me tonight, first of all, is, as some of you that know me know, I like to use my animal teachers. They're everything I've learned about being human, I've learned from animals. And I always pull a card from one of my oracle decks, and I just always ask for guidance and support in getting clarity on something that's not still in me, right? To get for clarity for that. And today I pulled ant in regards to a question that I was asking about community, about how we can lead from generosity and kindness. And an ant showed up. And a lot of people, I always say, you know, when we look at things from a place of truly living a conscious, purposeful life, I am no more important than the ant, and the ant is no more important than me. All things are truly equal, and it's all around shifting our perspective and our beliefs that are based in these early childhood traumas that we don't even know are running our life. And what I love about ant is, if you just think how incredible they are, I mean, how many of us have watched in absolute fascination an ant that is carrying a leaf that is 100 times heavier than it, and it's got so much resilience. And it can carry that leaf over hundreds of miles just to get it back to the anthill. And in Africa, a lot of times ants can really strip the whole plain, the whole forest bare when food is really scarce, even if it takes them a year. And that's what I love about getting ant today, is that how often we are rushing to get somewhere. We're rushing to sell our businesses. We're rushing to make money. We're rushing to get married. We're always rushing through life instead of just being in the space of enjoying the moment and being completely present in the moment. And ants medicine is really that strategy of being patient, and that's something that I have definitely come into this world in this lifetime to remember, how to know that there is a time and a season for everything. And ant's a beaver. It's kind of like it's a builder, like the beaver. It's not it's as aggressive as the badger, but it has the stamina of the deer or the elk, and the scrutiny of that little mouse. And of course it has giveaway like the turkey. So ant came to me today in a moment when I was really asking for guidance about building something that I really believe in, and that is a space where women that are sensitive and highly in touch with their environment and what they're creating that is bigger than them can actually hold space. And I've talked a lot about holding space, that we as women can remember that that's our job. We birth babies, we birth ideas, we birth books into the world. And ant works for the queen ant and for the hive. And that's what we do as women. You know, it's in our true nature to know that self-sacrifice is part of ant medicine. And it's, you know, greater than the ant's other medicine is that patience that I was talking about. And I was looking for how I could expand the presence, the holding space that is sacred and intelligent and sensitive and wise, as women are, to go back to the red tent, to the ceremony of celebrating women and holding them when they're down or they're going through something, that they're witness to that. We are all connected to everything. And people are planners, right? They're community minded. They're active all the time. So if you're a woman and you're listening to this, I hope that you can relate to that we're always looking for the bigger vision. It's not okay that our sisters in other countries are walking for thousands of miles and carrying water on their back just to get water back to their families. You know, they really do know how to tend to the garden. They're the growers. They're the ones that plant seeds, and they grow things and they birth things. And it takes an incredible amount of push energy to do that. And yet our society doesn't celebrate that rare quality of seeing the dream, seeing the bigger picture that's being built a little bit at a time. Remember, I talked yesterday about taking one step at a time, and that it's not something that we're used to, right? Because the society that we're living in today, and the way that we're so busy in our lives being multifaceted women, we don't get time to actually remember who we are, right? It's temporary that we forget and we lose ourselves, but it is temporary. And that place of tending gardens, just like ant that works for the greater community, well, you know, we don't learn how to be resilient and patient and strong and confident and brave in the way that we're brought up as women, even as a modern woman in today's society, or in schools. You know, my daughter's 10 years old, and she's wiser than an 80-year-old, wiser than the crone. I mean, she really comes in with the sensitivity of the Cancerian energy. She was born in Cancer, and she's very sensitive to the needs of other people. And it blows my mind because I see how upset she gets when she's looking at the things that they have to learn in school that are actually not going to show them how to become women, like home economics or social studies, or, you know, even tonight, you know, networking groups. So even as grown-up children, you know, I was in a little bit of a conundrum today, reluctant in going because there was a certain dress code. And it just made me so aware of the ranking system that we don't just put it on other beings, like ants being less than, or that mice or termites or cockroaches are a nuisance. We rank other species, and we're still ranking each other in today's modern world, where we're looking at, we want to be equal. We can be great women that make beautiful homes and nests for our family, but we can also be really strong contributors in the world of business from a softer feminine economy. And it's really alive and kicking. I mean, I saw the ranking system yet again when I went out to this thing tonight, where probably 1% of the people that were there were women. And there was a dress code of you have to wear a tie and a suit. And, well, you know, I'd like to see some of that change, where we're not judging a book by its cover, where we're not actually sizing people up and putting them into a place where we actually can't receive their medicine. We can't receive the essence and the beauty and the contribution that other people are, because we've been programmed, right, to think less than if somebody doesn't look a certain way. And it just got me thinking, you know, as what part can I play? What part can we as women that are creating a future that's bigger than us, for our children's children, and for generations, and for the earth, and for other life forms, where we can be strong and brave and intelligent and have it all. And, you know, back in the day when I went to school, that ranking system of a stream, you know, if you were in an A stream, and that was like the clever, you know, bright beings, which I was in an A stream. You had to do things like, oh crap, you know, home ec wasn't there. It was the chemistry and the biology and the physics, and I struggled at those things, you know, and yet there wasn't a choice, because you were ranked into the system based on a broken system that doesn't see the individual as maybe having talents in other areas that didn't fit into the boxes. And if you were in a B stream, Well, the conclusion was that you weren't bright enough to do subjects like physics and chemistry and biology. So you, the lowly ones, had to do home economics or art or music classes. And I felt so hard done by that, that one had to be ranked as not smart enough to do all the creative things, which are actually so mathematical. It's ridiculous, really, if you look at the Beethovens and the Charles, what's his name, Charlton Heston, the beautiful chef that broke all the laws of culinary arts and started to do things that were part science more than they were part food. But the result was this beautiful orgasmic sensate tasting of food that you started to digest because it was just so beautiful to look at. And it's fun and it's delightful, and I was really pissed off that I actually never even knew that I had an artistic bone in my body, that I could draw and that I could paint, and that cooking was fun and baking was fun until I left school. And I just kind of think, what happened to the choice that we waste so much time trying to prove or fit into the social norms that you're in an A stream or a B stream, or and you have to waste time doing all this supposedly clever stuff, and honestly none of that actually got me where I am today in the world. It never really created success. I mean, I know that you need to learn to add, and you need to know how to write and in order to be in this world. But what happened to that creative aspect that's part of who we are? It's part of our true nature. And hi, Tara. Nice to see you. Yeah, so there's so many beautiful creative people here. I see you, Jean. I see you, Christine. Hi, Ariana. So, I'm curious, what do you feel is the way that we as women can contribute to a kinder, softer world where we get to shine in our creative part of us? I mean, we're here to create, whether that's babies or books or artworks or music. It's cutting off our sexual nature, our sexuality and our sensuality to taste as omnipresent, multi-dimensional women. We touch things. That's how we feel our way through life and create things that are out of this world. That's the alchemy, just like cooking or music. And I have friends who, like me, never got the choices to see if they like painting or playing the guitar or cooking. And I have friends that still actually Google things because they had to do the brainy people subjects that were painful. And they love Google. I love Google too. But it's just like how to trick your mother-in-law into thinking that canned tomato soup was homemade. Which inevitably led them to, chopping up like 4 freaking onions with a butter knife and spooning a whole cup of sugar into the pot because their mother-in-law was coming for dinner. And, after all, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. And actually, that entire cup might actually qualify as a safety measure because what's diabetes after all? We're cooking here, right? So... yeah, so I digress, but I wanted to, just be a little lighter today because it's been a heavy day. It's been a heavy week for a lot of my clients and a lot of the people that have come into my world. And I think we take ourselves way too seriously sometimes. And I like a good dose of humor. Not to mask and damp down and suppress and numb out, but just to be able to have a good laugh at ourselves. So we're cute, not bright, or I'll own that bit, but... yeah, sugar is poison. Exactly, Tara. I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek today. And Google's great. I love Google. But, I've long since accepted that I love to cook and I love to paint and I love to create things out of nothing and just go into that zone where ideas come. And I also love eating cookie dough, good raw dates and raw cacao and just eating mixture. And it brings back so many memories of good times being with my mother, who I'm so grateful for because she taught me how to change a light bulb. And and be able to kind of problem solve my way out of the domestic stuff that happens in our lives. That, you know, we need to know how to iron and sew on buttons and plant seeds and grow vegetables, and we need to be fully rounded. And I wish I could play a guitar or play a piano. I tried that for a while, but I know that's not my forte, and my singing voice doesn't even sound that great in the shower. But I don't even feel bad about it anymore. You know, who needs a guitar when you have a healing business where... Oh, I seem to be back. I'm learning patience with the slow internet in Africa. So where was I? Yeah, so I was talking about that you know, it's okay to not be great at everything, but to follow your heart. And I'm just so honored and so privileged that I don't need a guitar. I don't need to play the piano, although I still would love to do, you know, I'd love to do the whoopee, rolling around on a piano singing a beautiful blues song. Can't remember what that movie was called, with Michelle Pfeiffer in it. But, you know, it's just like, we can dream. But I'm so lucky and abundant that I have a business that heals bodies and lights the fire and shows people how to get clarity in their dreams and desires and what they want to create in the world, where I get to tune bodies every day to play their own symphonies, and I get to work with women who have incredible voices, and I get to work with them so that they can sing their notes, their way, their truth out into the world. And it's called strengths and weaknesses, you know, and I'm not trying to be strong in every single area of my life. I used to, and I used to make myself really, really wrong for it. But can you imagine, and I'm sure you can relate, how exhausting it is to try and be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So, you know, another thing that I don't worry about anymore either is, you know, what anybody really thinks about my hair. And I know that sounds really superficial, but let me tell you what, when you've got unruly, curly, crazy hair that likes to frizz when there's no humidity in the air, and it certainly frizzes when I try to brush it, there's always going to be somebody, some idiot that's going to ask me, you know, oh, when are you going to cut it off? Or why don't you get a Brazilian? Or why don't you just calm down, because your hair's like you're way too much energy, and you're way too loud, and you're way too opinionated. And well, you know, when you're old like me, you know, you're not allowed to have long hair, and especially not unruly and wild hair. And if you cut it off, then they want to know when you're going to grow it out again. You know, so it's like, why is it too, you know, please enlighten me, you know, why is long hair the default female hair at the moment, where, you know, a whole industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry of hair extensions and implants and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, I don't know, do you even realize how stupid I would look with short hair that makes my very big face look even more moon face and more lunatic and more batshit crazy than when I have my long, wild mane of frizzy hair? So, you know, it might work for the princess bride, but I'm not a princess and I'm not a bride. And even if I were, I'd probably be thrashing around with a sword and giant beers and Game of Thrones style. And I don't know, maybe it would be fun, but I'd rather not. So, yeah. So this is me being funny today about a couple of things because I can. And I think people think I'm too intense and too serious. I don't know what you guys think about that. But, you know, trauma is a serious subject. And I know that if we don't get to the root of the trauma, if we don't get to the root of what's holding us back in these pattern repeats where we think we're not enough and we think we have to be the princess and have the white picket fence and have the bond and the 2.5 children and the noose around our neck, because that's what everybody else is doing, I'd like to change that. And, you know, yesterday I was actually talking about having the strength to be your own person with my very good friend Lisa Strapp. I mean, we just kind of packed up in 1998 and we decided we were going to go and cook our way through Italy because we love food and we wanted to experience something different and be together. And it wasn't because we had to learn to cook to be a domestic goddess. You know, I love Nigella Lawson, but not all of us want to be in that kind of domestic bliss. And it was probably the best thing that we ever did. It was one of our most fun times. We laughed, we cried, we drank beautiful wine, we got to cook amazing food and pick porcini mushrooms and just have an adventure. And you know, the Italian men on the white horses on the farm that we were really nice to look at. You know, and we were just remembering how we've lived such a full out, rich, abundant life together and apart, as one does when one's best friend moves across the provinces. We haven't always been in the same place. And she brought up that she'd seen something on Facebook where a woman was talking about how grateful she was to her body to be carrying her and her baby through pregnancy, and that she'd hoped to inspire other women that they don't have to give up their lives and who they are the minute that they get pregnant, and that our bodies are made for this. We're meant to push, we're meant to carry babies and birth them and grow them into amazing conscious children. And that's, you know, that there's a culture around treating pregnant women like they're incapable, delicate little flowers, and that there's this sort of silent expectation that bringing life into the world means that you're expected to give up yours. And then the criticism starts, and they keep coming in one way, shape or form, and everybody's telling you how to do baby, and you're like, hang on, can I just enjoy knowing that my body's changing and that I'm bringing this incredible life into the world? And get out of the way of thinking that I have to be like some Hollywood star that gets her body back in, 2 days after she's had her baby, or delivers it 2 months early because she doesn't want her body to be at the effects of pregnancy. And I just think it's insane. I think that we're shortchanging ourselves. And it got me thinking about how much pressure we put on ourselves as big girls, but how much pressure there is on little girls to fit into things that don't fit anymore. And it made me really, really happy and proud that my daughter, who is 10, the other day she was going to her best friend's birthday party, and they were all putting on pretty dresses, but she didn't want to. And just because everybody else was, she didn't care. You know, she's likes to be comfortable, and she's a wild barefoot child like her mother, and I don't want to squash her into being something that she's not, and be uncomfortable in something that she doesn't feel comfortable in. You know, how many of us grow up and not feel like we love the skin that we're in because of all these social mores and moralities that are put on us as women to be and act a certain way and be the damsel in distress. And I know, I don't want to squash her into being something that she's not. And like all new experience, it's tempting to turn and look at what everybody else is doing. I still buy into that from times, and I didn't want to take my Uggs off today and try and clean myself up, and because I'm wild. And if I could have my way, I would have gone there barefoot, not pregnant, but barefoot, and just have people see me for who I am and not judge me or rank me or put me in a box as less than, and just because everybody else is doing that. And I don't know, I suppose, look at it. We're supposed to know how to cook by our mid-30s, and you're supposed to have long hair to be considered attractive, and you're supposed to have already had a baby by the time you're 30, and if you haven't, there's something wrong with you. And you're supposed to be putting on toe-breaking high heels and look like a lady and behave like one who had rich parents who sent her off to finishing school so that she can keep the company of men that are squashing themselves into uncomfortable suits and choking themselves with ties around their neck when they'd rather be barefoot and with their shirts off and barbecuing in the sun and just expressing and being free to be who they are in their true nature without somebody asking them, what's wrong with you, or why are you happy? Because you're not allowed to be happy either unless you're on an antidepressant, or there must be something wrong with you because you're not allowed to be happy in this world. So You know, this isn't a new conversation, but I can't sort of help wonder, I'm really curious about that. Maybe instead of teaching young women how to come home to a husband, or how to cook, or how to be impeccable with their manners, what if we could start being impeccable with our own words, and leading by being free-spirited and following our own thing, our own path, our own way in our true nature, and you know, maybe start teaching them how to come home to themselves rather than anything else. You know, I want that for my daughter. I don't want her to think that she has to live for something else, and that she has to have outside validation for her to be able to feel like she can love the skin that she's in. And because you know what I actually learned by not going to home ec is that a cup of dry flour is not the same as a cup of water, and that you can cross stitch a miniature pillow that says "Go Sharks." That's a rugby team here, by the way, in South Africa, for those of you who are wondering. You can cross stitch that in a week, and that the fork goes on the left and the knife on the right, and you can remember it, because remember, fork has 4 letters, so does the left, and the knife has 5 letters, and so does the right. And for the record, WTF has 3 letters in it. If you joined this conversation late, hi Jocelyn. But you know what? And I love that Jocelyn's here, because she's growing beautiful, conscious young minds. She's an incredible teacher that's in the system, doing a breaking job with kids that don't know how to be in their own skins. And I just think that it would have been a whole lot more useful for me, and I'd love to hear your comments and awarenesses on what you would have loved to have learned, and what you, as the big girl that's still nursing those little girl parts that are stuck in trauma of trying to fit into somebody else's reality, you know, what would have been more useful? You know, I want to be teaching my child to be able to say no to a guy, and not give up her virginity at 14 because everybody else is doing it, and to feel strong and confident about saying no, you know, not stupid. And I want my daughter to know how to stand up for herself when a peer starts a hate campaign against her or cyberbullies her on Facebook. And I want her to feel confident in her approach, not like a loser. And I want her to learn how to find creation solutions to a variety of problems, and feel confident that she would be able to solve them on her own, not lost. And I also want for her, like I want for the child parts of me, and I keep standing into that, to learn how to experiment with her own ideas in a real world scenario, and feel confident in her instincts, in her gut knowing that she can follow that no matter what anyone else is telling her to do, and not feel unsure of them. And I want my daughter to know how to choose based on her own preferences to taste and color, and how she wants to wear her hair, and what she wants to do with her life, not the world's. And I want her to feel confident in those opinions, not scared shitless that she's going to be outcast or ridiculed or vilified for having and standing in her own truth. And it's not about learning how to do things as much as it's learning how to feel okay doing them. To feel okay with our own opinions, our own truths, and our own convictions, and our own ideas. To feel more than okay being who we are. To feel okay believing in our choices and following that, and not trying to fit into somebody else's dreams or somebody else's opinions of what they think you should be doing in your life. And I love that phrase, you know, teach a man to fish, feed him forever. Give him a fish, feed him for a day. I want my child to be able to feed herself forever, and have so much abundance that she has more than enough to share it with others. And I think that the only thing that saved me from myself and from that reality, and I'm not saying that it didn't affect me, because of course a lot of it did, but being independent so early in my life, I forced myself to decide, to make choices for me, to form my own opinion, and I don't have to wait for feedback or judgment or constructive criticism, which is just another word for judgment, and to trust that. and to trust myself, to hold myself in that place, even though it was challenging, even though I was afraid. And I want to hold that space for my daughter, and I don't care if people think I'm a bad parent or a bad mother, because I'm willing to let my child put her hand on the hot plate in order to know what hot is. We don't come into the world knowing what's dangerous. We have to learn that. And there's a difference between knowing what dangerous is and know when the danger is past. And I don't want my daughter to throw herself into something and just hope for the best. I want her to experience what hot is. I want her to go through life as a big messy experiment, to find her own way through her own choices, good or bad, and to go through trying on new things and making mistakes. But what about the people who don't need trial and error? You know, anything for themselves. I mean, I know people that are playing it safe because they're being told exactly what to do, and it's easier. It's easier than making choices. So what about the young people, Jocelyn? What about those people that are growing up in a modern world that demands originality, but who are still being taught to be replicas of something that's an outdated model? And we don't need teachers. And I say that with absolute love, because I think that we're all teachers and I think we're all students, but we don't really need teachers who grow test scores and rank us and tell us that there's something wrong with us. And I know incredible teachers. I'm sure you can think of one in your life. For me, it was a maths teacher called Judy Henderson. And Judy, if you're listening to this, I send you lots and lots of love, because I wouldn't be the woman that I am today if you hadn't believed in me and shown me that I learned differently. And even though maths was hard for me, you helped me to get through it and pass. I didn't need to have an A. I just needed to pass so that I could get out of the system and start doing what I wanted to do, which was to create life on my own terms and make mistakes. But we all get those exceptional mentors and teachers in our lives that have made a profound impact on us failing and slipping through the cracks or not. And I just think we need mentors who can grow humans into kindness, humans into being everything we came here to be. And I'm so grateful for the incredible people that are out there doing that with my children, and for the children out there that don't have parents to teach them. And that includes, of course, you know, who we're hanging out with and who we're growing with as adults, whether that's a networking thing like I went to tonight or not. But what I do know for sure is knowing information doesn't do you any good. You know, knowledge is powerful, but if you don't know how to apply it, it's just information. It's just another dump. And if you don't have an opinion about it within the context of the world and your world, it's the opinion that makes something meaningful. And that's where we have to look at shifting our perspectives of some of the places where, even though we think we're not in judgment or ranking or looking at things as not equal, that we get to grow into that human beingness again. And to decide whether or not you're the kind of person who likes to cook or likes to blog or paint or build buildings or be the architect like the ant that's growing something for something bigger than just you. And, you know, not that any two of those are actually mutually exclusive either, you know. We can do a lot of things at once. Women are incredible builders, they're incredible architects, and they're incredible creators. We can birth things, more than one thing at a time. And I think that sort of ties into what I was talking about yesterday about purpose and passion, and how we think it has to look like one thing, and when we've chosen, we're not allowed to change our mind. And you know, that's where flexibility comes in, that when you feel the pull and you lean in and you take a step toward it, you try it on and you see if it fits, and you see if it's aligned with what your dreams and desires are and where you want to go and the person that you want to be. So I don't know, I think I'm done, but I wanted to just say, you know what, if you want to cut your hair, and then cut your hair and see how it feels, and then decide what you think, to form of opinions and to voice them, to speak your truth, to experiment and to play full out and have fun in the world and laugh at your own stupidity. And when I talk about stupidity, I'm not saying you're stupid, I'm just saying that that's the place where we go because of the world and the way that we're made up, and our programming and our cultures and the societal laws that have made us think that we're not enough, and that it's not okay to have fun doing something that you love, and doing it so well you could do it in your sleep backward and give it away for free. And that purpose and passion grow as you grow and you try on new things and you play in the world and you let it change you. You know, pregnant or not, old or young, wild or tame, long hair, short hair, you know, it doesn't matter as long as you're happy. And that's the trial and error of life. That is the big messy experiment that we're all in together. And I just want for a place where we can become the kind of women that are so textured and so nuanced and so interesting. I love that word, audacious. To be bold, where the part of you wants to be timid and not shine your light in the world, to the part that is so real and raw that you're afraid that if you do it you'll break, rather than knowing that where you're actually broken, you're falling back together to play a new song and a new symphony. And it's impossible, you know, that's undefinable. That's the part that needs to unravel. The mystery that is all woman, all goddess, all Kali sometimes. And it's impossible to put that woman in a box. So please stop trying. Please. Because Google, after all, is great. And it can tell you how to measure flour, but it can never tell you who you are. So, who are you going to be? I'm curious. And do you conform to rules? You know, what changes do you make that are outside of being in your true nature to adapt, to fit into the boxes and the mores and the moralities and the ranking system, or the fraudster system, or the trickster systems that are out there, instead of following your heart? So please write your comments and questions below if this conversation touched you in any way. And please follow your heart and your soul's urge to just live authentically as the woman that you came here to be. Because honestly, and I say this every day, the world is not waiting for someone like you. The world is waiting for you and your unique talents and capacities and love, as only you can, to show up in the world and share your voice and tell your story. So know that you are brave, you are resilient, you are beautiful, and I honor the woman that I see in my life. Thank you for being here. I'm sending you lots of love. And let me know, how can we create a different world together as this beautiful red tent of strong women that stand in their tribal truth and create a different world where everything thrives. All right, I'll leave you with that. Good night, everyone. Mwah.